May we see your invitation?
Odd groups got left, even groups got right.
Master, I hope I served you well.
More dots, more dots.
Too soon.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back, and today we're going to be going over our pre-checklist for Protection Paladins in the Burning Crusade. So, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so this is a checklist, however it is formatted as a top 5 kind of video. So I'm going to be going over 5 specific sectors that you need to look at and better prepare or cover or collect for if you're aiming to be a Protection Paladin in the Burning Crusade. Alright, let's go ahead and get started with number 1. Alright, so for the first section we're going to be looking at trinkets. There's a lot of really good trinkets throughout Classic WoW. The two trinkets that you really want to try to look out for are not melee trinkets, they're more caster and tank trinkets. In terms of caster trinkets, some of the ones that you can really pick up that'll really help. This one's a little bit outside of the ballpark just because it's probably never going to be achievable by Paladin, but it is Navarian's Tear. Just because it gives a stupid amount of plus damage and healing, and it also gives you a little bit of spell hit. And then of course that transfers over to the Burning Crusade when it also increases your spell hit rating, which is good overall for Paladins because that's pretty much how you generate threat, is spell hit. But if that's a little bit out of reach, that is completely fine. I understand I am probably nowhere near getting that damn trinket. So, two good alternatives is definitely the Draconic Infused Emblem from General Drakisath and Upper Blackrock Spire, and a Toep, which comes out of MC. In terms of tanking trinkets, the only one that I really want to highlight that you should have as a priority definitely is going to be Stylene's Impending Scarab. The reason why I recommend this one is simply because it's amazing and classic, and it actually gets buffed in the Burning Crusade just because of how the stats are going to be changing over. I'll put up a side-by-side comparison for you so you can see both of them. But this trinket right here is going to be carrying you through dungeoning, the first tier of raiding, and if you just get really bad luck with some trinket drops, or you maybe forget to do a few of the quests, you'll probably be using this trinket for a decent amount of the Burning Crusade just because of how amazing it is for anyone that's wearing a shield, and for you that is phenomenal as a Protection Paladin. Alright, so that is a quick overview of the first section for trinkets. Now let's move on to weapons. Alright, so for the weapons section, I've only included 2 different weapons, but let me explain why. If you are a new character or you are an established paladin that's inside a guild and currently raiding all the different raid tiers, these will be the 2 easiest to get items for a holy paladin right now. So, let's go ahead and start off with the first one. The first one is going to be the Blood Collar. This drops off Hakar and Zul'Gurub. It has a decent amount of stamina, a decent amount of intellect, a really solid attack speed, and 33 damage and healing. This is going to be phenomenal if you don't have any good kind of like spell damage weapons starting off in the Burning Crusade. It's going to be fast enough that it really scales well with your Seal of Righteousness auto attacks, and also it just helps you scale up your damage done by Consecration, Avenger's Shield, Judgments, and etc. Coming up next, we have Lok Amir I Romanathus. So this one is definitely going to be one of the higher tier ones if I was going to rank them, just because it has a lot of intellect, a decent amount of stamina, some spirit, but it has 84 spell damage and healing. While it is a tad bit slower than the Blood Collar, I think Lok Amir would be better for you overall, simply because it brings so much spell damage to the table. And if you enchant it with the plus 30 spell damage, you're going to be looking at 114 spell power just from your main hand. That is phenomenal, and it's amazing for Protection Paladin starting off in the Burning Crusade. Alright, next up we're going to be looking at shields. Alright, so for our first shield, I'm going to be cheating a little bit and actually pulling something from Naxxramas. The only reason why I'm pulling this one out of Naxxramas is simply because it's easy for Paladins to obtain. It is Death's Bargain. This is a healing shield that drops off Gluth from the Abomination Quarter. And the reason why it's easy for Paladins to get is simply because if it drops, Paladins are the only ones that can actually use it in terms of stats. So it's normally not as contested as other healing items and other shields, so that's why I wanted to include it. Overall, it's not bad in terms of getting a Protection Paladin into the Burning Crusade, simply because it has over 3,000 armor, 12 stam, 12 intellect. It does have a crit chance, which is amazing for judgments, and shocks to crit, which is amazing for threat. The healing unfortunately goes to waste in terms of looking at tanking. However, the MP5 is always welcome, especially for us protection paladins. Alright, but moving on to the next one, we're going to be going back to Blackwing Lair, and we're going to be looking at the Elementium Reinforced Bulwark. This shield is something that I am trying to get personally, just because I love the look of it, and it has a stupid amount of stamina, defense, and it has a nice block value to the shield. So this one is probably going to be, I don't want to say tough to get, but it's going to be a little bit more of a niche item. Typically, since a lot of the guilds are Naxxramas, if you're going into Blackwing Lair Pug, majority of the tanks probably either have this shield already or they have something better from Naxxramas. So you probably would have a decent chance of getting it or rolling for it or reserving it as a Holy Paladin right now. So that's why I wanted to include it. And also, if you're able to get your hands on this, this is going to be an amazing starter shield for tanking dungeons in the Burning Crusade. Next up, we're going to be going to MC for a third shield, which is the Drill Bore Disc. And at first glance, it doesn't have any defense stats to it, unfortunately, but what really makes it fit in on this list, in my personal opinion, is simply the increased chance to block attacks by 2%. This is going to scale very well with your Holy Shield whenever you're able to use it, just because it's going to increase the amount of times, statistically, that it can be procced. So that's why I wanted to include it. If all else fails, MC is always something that is being ran. Without a doubt, a lot of the tanks already have the Drill Bore Disc, so if you wanted to pick it up as an off-spec role, you probably will have not a lot of people going for it, because it's only you and the Warriors. And once again, if the Warriors are in Phase 5 and they're raiding, they probably already have something better. So you have a really good chance as a Holy Paladin of getting this shield. Alright, so next up we're going to be looking at gearing for the Burning Crusade. Alright, so in terms of gearing, basically, to make this really simple and to the point, just tier 2. If you can get your hands on anything tier 2, it's going to be what you're going to need. Simply because it has a lot of stamina, a lot of armor, a stupid amount of spell damage, which is amazing for you, and it's going to scale so well when you walk into TBC. And if you can get your hands on a full 8 out of 8, it's just, oof, you're going to be blowing up the threat meter, and it's going to be lovely. It's going to be phenomenal. I am super excited. I luckily have gotten a full 8 out of 8 set on my Paladin, and it's enchanted with plus threat. It's enchanted with some of the ZG enchants. It's just, it's going to be amazing. But yeah, basically, if you can get your hands on anything that is plate and has stamina, spell damage, defense, even if it's not T2, hold on to it. That's what you're going to be needing. But if you can get into Blackwing Lair, please do it. T2 is going to completely overhaul and change your life as a protection paladin, whether you're in classic or you're going to be going into the Burning Crusade. Just get it. It's phenomenal. It's great. Alright, so of course the last section is going to be about consumables, but I wanted to point out some consumables that maybe people aren't initially thinking about, specifically protection paladins. Of course, food buffs is always going to be needed. Stamina food is going to be, it's going to be phenomenal. Night Fin soup is also not a bad idea overall, in my opinion, just because it's not bad if you're short MP5. But remember, Spiritual Attunement is really going to fix our mana issues overall, but it's good to maybe have some Night Fin in case you really just feel comfortable with your health pool and you're just like, I'm running out of mana. But aside from that, the two big things that I would like to talk about consumable wise, and these include both regular arcane and greater arcane elixirs. Both of these elixirs are really good for paladins on both ends of the spectrum. If you're a newer paladin, these are really going to give you a little bump in spell power to kind of help push a little bit more damage, push a little bit more threat, just that way you're able to keep threat and you're able to just kind of like help your group out a little bit more. But if you're a super geared paladin and maybe you're going up against an instance with a lot of people with T3, having these arcane elixirs are really going to make a difference in terms of numbers and threat that you're able to output. And anything that you can do to increase your threat as a protection paladin is going to be a win-win for you. And that's why I wanted to include it in the consumable section of this guide. And that is pretty much it for our TBC checklist. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, a comment, subscribe. If you have a question, just let me know. I really had a lot of fun making this video. I had to put a lot of thought into it and kind of like retrace my steps over the past year or so playing Classic, just to kind of figure out what I would recommend and what I would do if I could go back to the beginning and start over and gear up this late into Classic. But if you enjoyed it, let me know. If you have any questions, of course, let me know down in the comments and I will respond within like an hour or so, unless I'm asleep. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.